Hey everybody, Sky here from Sphygmus Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I want to talk a little bit more about the concept of survival as taught by Professor Rylan Lizares at the most recent seminar that I attended where he was instructing. Now, we've talked a little bit about it already, but I want to add a component to this. I already mentioned how Professor Lizares didn't teach us how to pass a guard or how to find a certain submission. Instead, he taught us principles of self-defense that when followed, basically, I don't know how to describe this any better, establish a pathway through whatever's happening, and we wind up passing the guard, almost unintentionally. You wind up finding submissions when you weren't even looking for them, right? It sounds counterintuitive, but I watched it happen repeatedly. When I rolled with Professor Lizares, he did it to me numerous times, so I know what this feels like now, and that's why I'm sharing it. So one of the concepts that can help us kind of grasp better the idea of survival is when I know a technique, I can break it down into steps, right? We've all watched an instructional video and the steps are broken down. First you do this, then you do that, all the way through. There's a nice sequence. And then they'll have maybe variation. If your partner does this, how do you alter this to continue your progression through the sequence of events? So, how does this survival idea map onto a sequence? Well, the concept is, if I know a sequence, that means that I can predict where it will go. Simple enough, right? If I know the technique and I know the sequence, I know where it will end up. That means I can change the timing on things, right? I can show up early to where my partner might want me. And if I'm early and they're not ready for me, that puts them into a position where maybe they're not as prepared to do what they want. That can effectively unravel what they have. I can show up late. I can do something to alter the timeline that way, right? So anytime I know what my partner's doing, I can find a way to prevent it from happening. The opposite is also true. If my partner understands the technique that I want to apply, then with some ingenuity, some experience, some understanding, they can thwart my plan. So I project to my partner this pass that I want to do, right? I put myself in this position and they say, oh, I know that position, I know what's about to happen. And as they're doing it, or as I'm doing it to them rather, they're able to unwind it. Now, if I, on the other hand, focus on survival, focus on body mechanics, focus on the position of my skeleton, the position of my muscles, where my pressure is, the tension or lack thereof, the balance that I have. If I focus on all of those things with the intent of surviving the position and not giving opportunity to my partner that they shouldn't have, and I say that they shouldn't have because sometimes I will give them opportunities to encourage their movement. That's an important concept too. But anyway, in this process, as I learn survival, they're unable to stop me from almost accidentally passing because they can't stop a sequence that I don't start. Again, your partner cannot stop a sequence that you don't start. They can't stop a sequence they don't know. And why don't they know it? Because you don't know it either. You're not working from a pre-formed plan of how you're going to progress through a sequence. That's predictable. And it's not to say there's not a place for that. But generally speaking, when we understand concepts and when we're thinking in the moment, in real time, and we're effectively addressing each, even micro movement as it occurs, we wind up being very unpredictable for our partner. Unpredictability is great when we're trying to work with a partner, unless we want predictability, in which case we can also cause predictable things to occur as well, right? So we want to be unpredictable to our partner. We want our partner to be predictable to us, and we can create circumstances to basically facilitate both of those different pathways. So think about that as you're rolling, play around with it a little bit. Try not to think so procedurally through things, though there is value in that. There are some great coaches out there who are teaching and some great martial artists who know wonderful sequence, and it's a component of the overall picture. But survival comes first. And if you can master survival, then everything else can be added on top of it. It doesn't matter how many great sequences you have. It only takes one error or one person who knows the same sequence to gum that up, to throw a wrench into your plans and cause it to be ineffective. So have at that, play around with it, and go feel the jiu-jitsu.